Hi, welcome to Silent Generation. I'm Joseph.
I'm Nathan.
And this week's topic is beachwear, or resort wear as well, I guess. I don't know. We haven't done a fashion-oriented episode in a bit. I think this is a fun one. We did like the Ivy Style episode, and that was more of like a history and a run-through. But I think this is the closest we're going to get to like actually trying to give advice, because I think this is like a big area of improvement. I think that, I don't know, it's like often neglected. It's just like, I just toss on a swimsuit. But I think there's a lot of fun, especially in the Midwest where like good weather is very rare. It's like, I feel like, just like how there's a sense of occasion to dressing up for things, there's almost a sense of occasion for good weather. You want to dress good as well.
Yeah, beachwear is a bit of an afterthought because most people just think of the swimsuit and then the clothing that you wear to the beach before you take it off. That's an afterthought.
Yeah, and it's like, obviously it's easier to be more fashionable in like fall and winter when you can do like layers and accessories and different materials and all of that. There's less to work with all in all in beachwear. But that's what, I don't know, the constraint is a challenge and it's fun.
Yeah, something I sort of realized is there's an observation you made to me a while ago. I don't know if it was on air. I think it wasn't. But for men with formal wear, they're often very layered. They look like they're kind of wearing shells of clothing. And then for women, it's very elegant, where it's often almost falling off and it's very minimal. And beachwear for men is closer to like formal women's wear, where they're wearing less, you're exposing more. And there's often this sort of like casualness that's very attractive.
Yeah, I think what I was trying to explain with like men and women's formal wear is that like when a man is dressed up, it's like a suit of armor in a sense. Like there's just these key pieces and you make very small modifications on the material and the cut and the color of the shirt and the tie. Like things are more modulated. You're working with a set of tools and you modulate what you're wearing. But then for women's stuff, it's like the dress is its own object. It's more like sculpture than it is like assembling an outfit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I heard from someone once when I was at SAIC that the origin of men's suits is actually suits of armor. Have you ever encountered that through your research?
I don't know. Is that true?
I think it is true because we had like a fashion department, and I heard that from someone who heard that from a professor.
Yeah, I trust it. I don't know. I mean, we talked about how so much is downstream of military stuff, but like the jump from metal to textile, I think that like modern suiting comes from a very strong like textile tradition. I feel like that is in a way separate, even though like a suit of armor would have lots of leather cuirasses and like all that stuff to hold it together. But yeah, a little outside my depth on that.
Yeah. And one more observation before we get started. Before doing this episode, I thought that beachwear was sort of an exception to Paul Faucel's observation that men look better the more clothing they're wearing. Because there are plenty of guys that look good in just a swimsuit. They look hot. But I think that they can look more than just sexy at the beach. They can look, again, elegant or relaxed. Like the images in particular that you found for the Pinterest board, the men in them, they have this sort of relaxed quality to them. And I think that's like the peak of beachwear that we're going to be advocating for.
Yeah, I think I added some like vintage J. Crew, and that really has just kind of like rumpled, louche kind of like feeling that I think is like what I'm always shooting for.
Yeah. But before we start talking about beachwear, I think a good like opening might be just talking about our favorite beaches.
What's your favorite?
Praia Vermelha in Rio de Janeiro.
Praia Vermelha?
Yeah, it's like Red Beach. That's the translation of it. But it's right near the base of where Sugarloaf Mountain is. So in Rio, there are like two spots where you go up above and you look down at the city. One is Christ the Redeemer. The other is Sugarloaf Mountain. Like it's very steep. That's why it's called Sugarloaf. It looks like a loaf of bread.
Oh, no, it's from Sugarloaf is a term for like how they used to sell sugar. Because it would come in these cones. Basically, these like very conical things. And so it's a very common like mountain name. There's a Sugarloaf like everywhere in America, but this one like takes the cake. This is exactly what like an old-timey Sugarloaf looks like. It's just so, it looks like the hills in like Super Mario. Yeah. Kind of where they have very like flat, steep sides and then a perfectly rounded crest.
Yeah. So I went to like Sugarloaf to go up to the top and look down. But like upon getting there, I saw there was a beach nearby. I walked by to look at it. And the views are like stunning. Like it's crazy how much beach access there is throughout all of Rio de Janeiro. It's kind of like living in, megalopolis, but in the middle of a jungle. Like you get beaches and mountains and there's a national forest. But
so the city goes like right up to the beach. It's not like a LA type situation.
Yeah, like the most desirable neighborhoods are like right up against the beach, like Copacabana and Leblon. But Praia Vermelha is like sort of like tucked away. It's not where like most tourists first think of going to, so it's not very crowded.
Yeah, I was looking at photos of it, and I thought, like, I don't know, in my mind, I picture very crowded beaches in Brazil. But this one just seemed like nice. Like there's more packed days at like North Avenue Beach in Chicago.
Yeah. Like, you know, the Lady Gaga concert that recently had 2 million people?
No, but wow.
I think that was on Copacabana Beach or Leblon Beach, but they're able to fit 2 million people on the beach.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Man. I feel like there's amazing concerts in Brazil. I know that like when Radiohead goes to Brazil, it's like insane. Like Brazil loves Radiohead. They love the sad music.
So where are your favorite beaches?
Yeah, I think like Coronado I loved. And I went to Hawaii as a kid and I was just blown away. I'm trying to think what exact beach we went to. Did we go to Waikiki Beach? I don't know. It's just like it's heaven on earth out there. Like I am very much that type of like white guy who's just like blown away by a good beach. I would say.
Do you like tropical vacations?
I do. I don't do them, but I like the idea of them. I've never like gone to the Bahamas. I've always thought about maybe I should just do like a Caribbean cruise, you know, just like shed all of my like preconceived notions about them being lame and all that and just actually chill out and enjoy myself.
I feel like it might be best to save it for when you have a family.
Yeah.
Because tropical vacations are oftentimes structured in a way that's good for families.
Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm a really big booster for like Great Lakes beaches, even though they're like fake, because they're just made of sand, like shipped in from Indiana or whatever. And yeah, they're cold in the beginning of the season too. And also every so often they have those like warnings about E. coli and all. Wow, I'm really not making it very good. But the good part is that like Chicago, like being so close up to the lake is so good. The only two downsides to our kind of like lake city setup is that we have a big highway in between the city and the lake. The other thing is that we don't really have like a lot of commercial activity close to the lake. We just kind of like prioritize that mostly for residential towers. That every so often will have a business in their first floor, but it's more often like a dry cleaner than anything. So like when we go to the beach with friends, we're always like, oh, what do we do now? And the answer is usually walk 40 minutes to a bar.
Yeah.
Like after.
Yeah, it's a long trip for me to get to the beach from Logan Square. I have to take a bus to the Red Line. And then once I'm off the Red Line, it usually is a 30-minute walk, but it does depend on the beach. It is quite a trek.
Yeah, I just don't know how, like, of course, I just, like, always bike to the beach. And I don't know how people drive or walk because they both seem like such terrible value propositions.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I don't bike because I crash bikes when I ride them.
But no, like, it's always like, yeah, we're hanging out with friends. We have this big group of people. Like, we often end up, like, Ubering somewhere after. But yeah, it just feels like it's just so much walking to get out there. And then again, with the whole like highway between the city and the lake thing, you always have to like, you know, walk underneath the underpass, which is a depraved situation.
So many spiders.
Yes. But no, but other than that, yeah, I just love the connection, the interplay between the two. I don't know. Someone once called Chicago like a beach town, and I'm like, all right, let's not get ahead of ourselves there. That's, I think.
Yeah. Well, we have more beach access than coastal cities because cities like New York City and Philadelphia, they have to typically travel miles. Like say if you're in Philadelphia, usually go to the beaches in Delaware. But here it's like if you live in Lakeview, you can just, you know, walk a mile and then get to a beach.
No, when people in New York have described the like going to the beach setup, it's insane. Like it's like 3 trains and like
a bus
stuff. Yeah.
I think they usually go to like Long Island, right?
I think so.
I've never gone to a beach in New York.
Yeah, no. I just know there's Fire Island. I know that exists.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, but I sent you that meme though about can you say it?
Bitches from Chicago be like beach day and then go But yeah, the photo is that like the idea is that people sit on the concrete part of the beach in Chicago and call it a beach day.
So this is an evolution from the B words in Wisconsin be like beach day.
And it's
a
like
different meme.
Yeah, and it's like a industrial like runoff like drainage thing.
With like Nicki Minaj and Ariana Grande swimming in it.
That's what like it's like Milwaukee does have like a similar beach setup to Chicago. They have their Bradford Beach. I always think about it. This one video, there's this Milwaukee local celebrity called Milverine, who is this guy who walks shirtless and has a hairline very similar to to Wolverine, the Marvel character. And he's just this like local curiosity, and people have like interviewed him and like what his deal is. He's a fascinating guy. But one of the things about him is that he has the reason he walks everywhere is because he has very intense motion sickness.
Yeah.
He can't really be in cars, and because of that, he's never left Milwaukee ever. And so he has like this, what I call like this ultimate cope, where he's like, you know, people talk about the Louvre, but here we have the Milwaukee Museum of Art. You know, people talk about Waikiki Beach. Well, we have Bradford Beach. And I just like, I love that so much, because it's like, if you are given a situation, I think you should just like fully convince yourself that you're in the best situation. Like, yes, man, sure. Bradford Beach is exactly like Waikiki Beach. There's no difference.
Well, you know, my oldest sister loves Bradford Beach because you actually got to meet her there last summer. So she actually will drive 2 hours to Bradford Beach because she likes that there's more parking there. We're not the same in that way. She loves driving. But when she took my younger sister there for the first time, my younger sister was like, "Why are there so many gay guys here? Is this the gay beach in Milwaukee? And you've been going here because you like love gay beaches?" And then no, actually, it's not. They were totally wrong about that.
Yeah, that was not my read of Bradford Beach when we went there. They were playing like 2009 type dubstep. I just remember that. It felt very like I was kind of seeing creatures. I was seeing types of people you don't see anymore in Chicago. But
yeah, it was a throwback. So now we can start to talk about beachwear bottoms in ascending order. So from the smallest beachwear bottoms to the longest ones. And we're going to start out with speedos, or also swim briefs as they're called.
Yeah, that was a cultural shock when I moved to Germany, seeing those. I remember like asking my dad. I don't know what I asked. I was like, why? Like, why is this the case?
Yeah. Well, you know why they wear them? It's actually for sanitary reasons.
Yeah.
So pools regulate that men in Germany and France and other European countries wear speedos because they are afraid that if people wear longer swim trunks, that they're going to wear them around in public, and then they're going to bring more bacteria and dirt into the pool. The logic is that they're not going to walk, in speedos or take public transit in speedos and they go straight into the pool. They have to change. So that's why they require it.
You're not going to track things from outside. That makes sense. And it's just, the less material thing. It just feels like there's less places for things to like grow.
I feel like that could be an ad hoc justification too, though, because I think Europeans are more comfortable with nudity, and they do also kind of like showing more skin.
Yeah, no, definitely. Just in terms of like, short lengths and even capri lengths.
They also are more common in Brazil as well, but there it's a slightly different cut. The speedos in Europe, they're typically more angular. The ones in Brazil, they're more square, and they're called sungas. And those, they're more popular amongst like older generations, but they're still like, you see people of all ages wearing them.
So it's like fading away. It's an old man's game.
A little bit. Like,
interesting.
I went there with, the first time I went to Brazil with the interlocutor I was doing my research with, and he wore a Speedo. I asked him beforehand, I was like, "Oh, is it weird if I don't wear a Speedo?" And he's like, "No, not really, but kind of."
Interesting.
And then we got to the beach, and actually he was one of the only ones wearing a Speedo. So he was a bit surprised.
He was like, the one who was, he missed the memo, I guess, of the like swim trunkification of Brazil.
Yeah. So I've still never worn a Speedo, but I did wear jammers when I was a diver.
Oh yeah. And I wore jammers and swim team as well.
Wait, you did swim team?
Yeah, but like club swim in Las Vegas. My high school didn't have any sports, but I swam in middle school. It was weirdly competitive. It was just, I don't know. I mean, you need to like have some kind of hobby for your kids to do, but it was this whole thing called like sandpipers, and it was just too much. Some kids really took it far. I was a little more chill about it.
Yeah. Well, I was on the swimming and diving team, but I was a diver, and it doesn't really make sense for divers to wear Speedos because the goal isn't speed. Once you hit the water, you aren't judged by how fast you go into it. That's not a factor at all. So you probably should be allowed to wear jammers, but if you're a diver who wears jammers, you're often scored more poorly. And people say like, oh, it's because the judge has an easier time seeing if there's a bend in your body because there's a longer strip of fabric, like they can see the angle more easily. But actually it's just prejudice. They think that divers who wear Speedos are the more serious ones, and they give them more favorable ratings.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah. But I feel like swimming is the only context in which speedos don't get called gay in the US.
Yeah, no one was like making fun of Michael Phelps. I mean, but I guess in the Olympics they wear more of those like full-on suits now.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the gay Speedo link is very real in America. I remember the story. I think my dad told me about. He had a classmate, and everyone bullied this kid because his dad would wear a Speedo to like the reservoir. That's where everyone would swim in town. And then it turns out this kid's dad did come out as gay and leave the family. So it's like, oh man, the Speedo is not beating the allegations.
No, gays loving speedos is one of the safest generalizations you can make. In Chicago, one of our 27 beaches is Kathy Osterman Beach. It's also called Hollywood Beach, and it attracts all the gays because there's this like gay lighthouse. It has a rainbow flag. But yeah, most gays are like sort of on that side of the beach, close to where the lighthouse is. But it's the gay one because there's like hundreds of men in speedos on a bright sunny day.
Yeah, I did a boat party at my work once. And I remember like looking over and then just seeing like everyone's kind of starting out, and then so you get to the playpen, this like still spot of water, and there's this other boat across from us, and it quickly becomes apparent that it's a gay boat because like everyone starts getting changed and it's just all speedos across the board. No, Kathy Osterman Beach. I always wondered I was like, who was Kathy Osterman? Is she okay with her beach becoming like the gayest beach? And yes, she was an activist who like fought for gay rights and stuff in Chicago, so she would love this basically.
Yeah. Would you ever wear a Speedo?
So I kind of do, is the thing. I wear like a box leg swim brief underneath swim trunks, and my rationale for this is like there is a big upside to Speedos, which is that like it dries much faster than like baggy swim trunks, and often I like want to do something after the beach and not have to like go get changed in a gross like Park District bathroom and all of that. So I'll like kind of just wear these as like an underwear layer basically. I mean, sometimes I've swam in just the like box leg swim brief, but I don't know. She seems like a lot of skin to be forcing on people. I try not to do it. I try to wear the swim trunks.
Yeah, they have a cut that is similar to Sungas. They're just a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's that little bit. It's less tighty-whitey, and it's more like an actual pair of boxer briefs, basically. Yeah. But I still get called gay for wearing them, so what's the point?
Yeah, I've never worn Speedos to the beach. I never would want to wear one personally because my goal at the beach is not to look sexy. But even if it was, I don't think men are attractive when they sexualize themselves. It's kind of like a male stripper. It's a bit of an oxymoron. Like, I don't know what it is, but just something about doing that makes it less appealing.
Yeah, men should not be like actively seeking that much attention, I think is where it comes from our idea. We don't like no one likes a preening man, you know. We want a guy who just like naturally and thoughtlessly kind of looks good. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next beachwear bottom we can talk about is swim trunks. So these are slightly longer, and this is what we both probably typically wear, right?
I don't know. What's really the difference between like swim trunks and like board shorts? Is it board shorts is long ones?
Board shorts are longer. They also, I forget the pedantic difference, but one of them it's more likely to be drawstring, and one of the others it's more likely to be like a button.
Interesting. It feels like we've been in a period of recovery since like very long board shorts of the 90s and 2000s, kind of coming from the surfer direction, and then just like that bleeding into just everyday pool wear. I remember it like any photo of me as a kid, I'm wearing board shorts like almost past my knees, I feel.
Yeah. No, it's definitely the case that the length of swim trunks, they've gotten shorter along with shorts in general. For yourself, like, do you think that the swimwear you wear, is it longer or shorter than the shorts you typically wear?
I kind of wear the same. I wear like 5-inch inseam shorts and swim trunks, but I would wear shorter swim trunks. Like it's with real shorts, I feel like less is gained from going that short. But with like swim trunks, like it's less material to be wet during the day, and that's like such a big advantage. I don't know, maybe I'll buy some like 4 or 3-inch ones.
That's a good point. I actually feel like I want to wear slightly longer swimsuits though, because I like 5-inch inseams typically for my shorts, but then with swimsuits, I'm not wearing anything underneath, and I don't want any to get shown. So I feel like an extra inch or two is helpful. So maybe like 7 would be best.
Yeah. Yeah, we can recommend some brands and stuff. You put in here Fresco Ball Carioca. That's a great name.
Before we get to that, that's not actually where I get my swimsuits.
Oh.
I only have 2, and they're from Urban Outfitters because I'm a product of my generation.
Yeah. No, I love seeing that Urban Outfitters that's still open over on State and Maple. It's just, holding strong.
There's only 3 left in the city, and at one point there were like 7. So I actually used to own Urban Outfitters stock, and I sold it once the one on State Street closed because I took it as a really bad sign for the company.
Yeah, recession indicator.
Yeah. But I don't own any swimsuits from American Apparel because theirs were always a bit too thin. Like, I mean, all of their clothing, you can say it's a bit too simple, but their swimsuits in particular, I always thought it really wasn't enough. I wanted something that was a bit more designed.
Yeah, I could see that. A little too, minimal. I don't really go for too many like patterns on swim trunks. I like just like a bright, bold color. I've got like a red pair from like H&M. That's like the one thing from H&M that hasn't fallen apart. Yeah. I think it's because there's no stretch in them, so there's no spandex to go bad. But yeah, I like a tough, like crinkly type board short. Like, I hate when they're like made of this like soft kind of like flowy material. Like, no, that's just gonna fall apart and like not be good.
Yeah, I have some swimsuits that are like that where they're very tough and crinkly from my Sea-Punk era because I have at least like 3 or 4 swimsuits that I used to wear just out in public, not to the beach when I was Sea-Punk. But the 2 that I currently wear, the Urban Outfitters one is black and the other is like this orange camo print.
Oh, that's fun.
But yeah, you mentioned Frescobol Carioca. That's where I would maybe get a swimsuit or 2 if I had like way too much money to spend. It's a British brand, but it's inspired by Brazilian culture. Frescobol, it's like this Brazilian beach sport that's sort of like tennis. And then carioca, that word, it's basically like a denizen of Rio de Janeiro. So the literal translation is basically almost like baseball Chicagoan or football New Yorker.
So that does sound like a whole bunch of like pale British fashion people trying to come up with a Brazilian brand to sell it to the world and probably sell it back to Brazilians, I guess.
Yeah, but I like their prints a lot because a lot of them are in reference to the Portuguese stone, where it's basically like the sidewalks have these nice patterns. And I would like that as a little homage.
Yeah.
It's very subtle.
Yeah. They remind me of Orlebar Brown. I don't know if you've heard of them. This is another like luxury swim trunk thing. Orlebar Brown's deal, other than having like another fancy name, is that they have like, they are inspired by the cut and tailoring of men's dress pants, and they have side adjusters on them, which I just don't, that's like incorrect. Like I don't see what's the appeal of that. It's like when people say like, oh, this pen was meant for the space shuttle or something. It's like, you're not on the space shuttle. Like, that doesn't matter.
I learned about Orlebar Brown for the first time this week as part of research. And I asked myself the question, like, why are these so expensive? Why are these $300 or $400? With designer clothing, the devil typically is in the details. And I think those little, what did you call them? The
side adjusters.
Side adjusters. Yeah, that's really what you're paying for more than anything else.
Yeah. I mean, they have like, fun patterns and all that, but who doesn't? I think I want to say they were featured in a James Bond movie. Yeah. But yeah, I think I think the brand exists out of just like this market realization that guys probably would pay more for swim trunks if given the option to. Like, it hadn't been luxuriated yet. It hadn't been given an upper end.
They also guarantee that their swimsuits last 5 years, which is kind of unnecessary in my opinion. Because it's not like your swimsuits disintegrate.
Yeah.
Like, they last well past 5 years.
Yeah, like a 100% nylon one. Like, nothing that is going to be here when the world is gone, like a nuclear apocalypse.
I do think they look really nice.
I think it's interesting, like just with the price point thing, like it's becoming similar to like women's swimsuits. I don't know how much women pay for swimsuits, but like it could be a lot. But the rationale for both sides is like, it is an entire outfit. So if you do drop $200 on it, like, it's the whole look. Like, it's not a...
Yeah. And one thing, because it's the entire outfit, swim trunks are often the most colorful piece of clothing in a man's wardrobe, because there's this habit in the West that we've talked about several times of relegating color to the fringes or to small controlled areas. And if it's just a 12-inch piece of fabric on your lower body, it can be as bright as you want.
Yeah, no, my dad dressed pretty conservatively, but he had, from the 90s, these very bright pink fluorescent shorts that my mom bought him that he would always wear that were kind of like blinding. I think we're all kind of, prepared to go a little zanier with swim trunk.
There also is a functional reason to wear brighter colors too, because you're more likely to be spotted under the water. Like, there's this nice diagram I'll put in the show notes, and according to it, blues and whites are the most dangerous. If you're worried about safety in the pool or the ocean, don't wear those. But yeah, the brighter it is, usually the better.
Oh man, I just do not. I'm like too confident in the water. Like there's no way I'm dying in there. Like I'm a former lifeguard. Like I just, if any way I might go, it's not going to be drowning. I'm very determined not to.
Yeah. And also in terms of like flashy colors and prints, I think the hottest thing a guy can wear to the beach is an American flag print swimsuit. I love those.
Oh yeah, no, that's a forever look. I don't know. I think I like wanted a pair or something, but I don't know. I'm kind of weird about flag code. Like I feel like you gotta respect the flag. I know that's a weird like boomer conservative take of mine.
Yeah, because I think according to the flag code, it really can't be on much of anything. Like clothing, I don't think is allowed or permitted.
Yeah. I mean, I have a little like when I bought my Brooks Brothers suit, it came with the little American flag pin, which is very like Republican politician coded. I have it. I don't know. I've never felt the urge to pop it on.
Yeah. Would you wear it if you were going to a political event?
Yeah. But then everyone would think I'm Republican. Like true. And it is like just a very like sober dark navy suit. Like yeah, I'm gonna look like Mitt Romney.
I went to the election party for when Lori Lightfoot first got elected. I feel like if you wear it to something like that, where it's like, oh, you're there to celebrate a Democratic politician, no one would like. Yeah. I think it would pass.
I really don't like the idea of like forfeiting the American flag to conservatives. But I'm not the first person to say this, and a lot of people have been more actively. I remember, like there was that No Kings rally over the weekend, and I remember seeing a lot of like photos of American flags there. But yeah, it's just such a good flag. Like I love the American flag, not to be all like jingoistic, but a little bit jingoistic. Like we got a good one. Yeah.
I think we should stick with it. But I think overall, stars, I think there are too many on flags. There should be other symbols too, you know.
I mean, aren't there like alternative ways to put the 50 stars? There's like other like variants that you can do. Oh yeah, I remember. There's no in the flag in the description of the American flag. There's nothing about the layout of the stars. So I remember some meme where someone just had them like disorganizedly placed, and they're like, "There's nothing wrong with this. Like this is not against the law."
Yeah,
and everyone's like, "Please stop."
And then, did you want to do the Chubbies postmortem?
Yeah, I don't know where else I would get on my soapbox about this, but whatever happened to Chubbies, this brand of both swim trunks and also just like short cotton shorts that were very dominant in like when I was in college in like 2014, it was a big deal.
Well, they still exist because I went to Macy's this week and I saw a Chubbies section, and they had the word Chubbies on a surfboard up above it. And there were like tons of swimsuits with colorful prints.
Yeah, I guess they're still around. I've recently bought shorts from like Bare Bottoms, which concerningly, if you look up Chubbies, Bare Bottoms has like a sponsored post at the top of it, like kind of just basically eating Chubbies lunch. But yeah, they're found in like 2011. Again, with the whole short length thing over time, like they really kind of bucked the trend. They were going short before other people were. I don't think anyone was making, 5-inch inseam shorts, and definitely not in America, which that was really cool. Like of their manufacturing. It's totally not the case anymore. They got bought out in 2021 by just some fashion conglomerate deal. And then, now they're in Macy's. Or before, I think they were doing a more of a direct-to-consumer type model.
Yeah. It was always sort of their goal to be bought out. That's what the founders wanted, and that's how they wanted to get their check. But I think it makes a lot of sense, though, that the way that men's shorts started to get short again, for it to come from this fratty angle. Because I think in general, the first guys who were sort of permitted to loosen up a bit with looking more gay, they were typically the most heterosexual. Like they were the ones wearing salmon or pink. Yeah. They were the ones wearing Chubbies. They got away with it first.
Yeah, this is, I touched on this in the Ivy Style episode, but like the subset of Ivy Style that's very like loud and brash and often nautical is like Go to Hell, as they say, and like Chubbies are the ultimate like go to hell pants. Like they had like funky little embroidered pants and stuff with like martinis or flamingos on them. Oh yeah, and that founder who got bought out, Preston Rutherford. That is a name. That is a like waspy established name.
Yeah. I personally don't. Well, I didn't have much of an opinion on them before, but after learning why they're called Chubbies, it's because they have an elastic band, and so you're allowed to gain weight without having to forfeit these shorts. That's fine. I just don't really like how all the shorts now have elastic and are made to be stretchy. I like ones that are cotton and what I'm looking for. And I hate that basically every store I go to now, it's drawstring or stretchy,
Yeah.
and the sizes are like small, medium, large.
Yeah, I guess shorts are the one thing that I will have. Like I'm wearing some very short J. Crew shorts right now, and I think they have like 1% stretch or something. But yeah, and on a short length, but things are going back now because like girls, like hot girls, are wearing those like Bobby Hill style shorts where they're like really long denim shorts. But that has to end soon. I feel like that.
Well, it's
that
a big
trend-
flat now, you know. Things are in vogue somewhere to someone at all times, basically.
Oh my God.
But their angle, though, for sort of their own justification for why they were like, okay, we should start making shorter shorts for men again. It wasn't that they were like, okay, like we should abandon our like homophobic fears of showing off skin. They thought it was just that like the culture at the time was fat phobic, and they thought men were covering their legs more because of that. Yeah, it was more body inclusive.
Yeah. And yeah, Chubby has always had that kind of a very interesting mix of like frattiness, but also like body positivity, but for men. Because that was always like, people always made that kind of that observation of like, oh, body positivity seems to always be for women. How about for men? And it's like, well, I have a shorts brand to sell you if you want that. Yeah.
Yeah. So did you ever wear Chubbies?
Oh, yeah. I had a dark navy pair of shorts that I really liked. And then I bought a pair of the So Much Phonicas, which were the shorts that had little menorahs on them.
Oh, that's cute.
I thought that was fun.
Would you ever buy them again? What do you think of their new direction?
The like not being made in America thing kind of annoys me. And then bare bottoms are cheaper. And those are also not made in America. I'm like, if it's not gonna be made in America, I might as well like race to the bottom in terms of like pricing. Yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll find a pair on eBay or something.
I looked through their About Us section, and it seemed like they were going in a very, well, everything is now in a more alt direction. Like a lot of the men and the models, they had thigh tattoos or like bleach blonde hair or an earring or two.
Yeah.
And it seems like the fratty aesthetic is sort of disappearing.
Yeah, I mean, that specific style of like, boat shoes, chubbies, like untucked Oxford shirt or like a polo. It feels like that guy, I mean, those guys are still around, but they're not dressing like that anymore. I think it's a lot more like Lululemon stretchy pants and like sports jerseys instead. But I don't know. I kind of mourn 2014 frat guys because I guess I am a 2014 frat guy in my heart.
And that kind of ties into the Southern preppy style, which we'll get to later on. But first, I wanted to pose the question, you know, is there a way for modern men to wear swimsuits in a classic way, in a Lindy or like a classic menswear way?
Yeah, and the answer is it's tricky. Not exactly, basically.
Yeah. The Gentleman's Gazette, they have a good video on the topic, which we'll link in the show notes. And he shows off a lot of examples of swimsuits that it's, in his opinion, are like good. And they oftentimes have stripes because I think they visually reference older styles of swimwear, like the sort of tank suit era in the 1910s.
Yeah, I picture those with horizontal stripes. In the video they talk about like they talk about these kind of rules of proportions that are like, oh, if you're a taller guy, you should wear longer shorts. And I've always like bucked that too. They're also like, oh, don't wear vertical stripes if you're tall, like then you'll look boyish. And I'm like, what's so wrong with that? Like, isn't youth good? I don't know.
Yeah, that wasn't what I was really like gleaning from the video. I just found it interesting because it made me realize like older swimsuit styles are a great example of how you've talked about like anything prior to the 60s, it starts to look more like a costume. And this is a good example of that because I think swimwear in the present day is better than 100 years ago because 100 years ago it was wool and it would drag you down and it would increase the chances of drowning.
Yeah, this is like, you know, I'm always such a big natural fibers guy, but I gotta hand it to like, you know, nylon and polyester when they are useful. It's like for this one case, for something that's literally going to be submerged in water.
Yeah, because it's not the case that in the turn of the century they'd been wearing swimsuits for hundreds of years at that point.
No.
Actually, in the early like 19th century, they would have been wearing nothing when they swam. And then sort of by the Victorian era, they started to wear the wool ones. But again, those came with a lot of risk.
Yeah, the wool ones at my summer camp, we had all these photos from like the 1890s and 1910s. and seeing the wool swimming costumes, I'm just like, you're gonna die. Like, and I just people were not as like I don't know, fitness is. I can't imagine that people were like good swimmers back then, like Victorian mustache type guys. You know, I mean, they were eating was like boiled wheat and stuff. So like, I don't know.
No, I think it actually, like, people at the time thought that swimming was sort of like dancing or singing, where it was sort of like immoral. And they also thought it was like bad for you for some reason.
Yeah.
So there was a lot they had to figure
out. Did you know that in Chicago public schools you used to have to swim naked, like as recently as the 60s and 70s?
Yeah.
And it was out of that, like, apparently there was a Curious City episode about this, but like people running the schools were like, oh, we don't want like fibers from this stuff getting into the pool filtration system. You know, it's unsanitary. But like, that is not a good like, just to get a good swimsuit that doesn't fall apart.
Yeah. It was probably just one of those things that was grandfathered in. But do you remember the episode of King of the Hill where like Bobby's like scared of using the showers after PE?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I would feel if I had to like swim naked with my classmates for an hour.
Yeah.
It'd be horrible. Did your school have a pool?
No, it was filled in with rocks. We like had a pool at one point and then we got rid of it due to budget cuts or something. Rough. It's like Las Vegas. Like, come on, we should have a pool.
Yeah. We obviously had a pool in my school because I was on the diving team. And we had to swim in it a few times in PE. And I remember this one time right before I went swimming, like 3 of the guys were telling everyone they had just taken cocaine for the first time. And then they went in the pool and they swam.
What? Oh my God. City, yeah. I'm always like, I want to raise my kids in a city. And stuff like this, I'm like, maybe not.
Yeah. No, that wasn't an everyday thing.
Yeah, but like with swimwear, this is where I kind of ditch my like classic menswear thing. Like, you just got to get with the times. I think I kind of look more to like the like 80s and 90s when it comes to beachwear inspiration.
Yeah. I've not tried to look Lindy or vintage with my swimwear, but looking through the Pinterest board, I did start to appreciate those styles more. One thing that I think has never really come back, though, is up until the 50s, like high-waisted swimsuits for men were kind of a thing.
Yeah, the belly button is a strangely contentious thing. Like, did you know that Cher was the first person to show their belly button on national television?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, now you know that now. But yeah, I think that like, you know, there was a big male like shirtlessness taboo. Like those, you know, wool swimming costumes were like singlets basically to cover men's chests. But men could start showing their chests around like the Great Depression, basically around the 1930s.
In the 30s, and then by the 40s, it was normalized. And the term I encountered through research was bare-chested swimsuits.
Yeah, bare-chested swimsuits. Wow. Yeah. It's like horseless carriage.
It's a good way to put it. You know, the Chicago History Museum, they have a swimsuit on display that is wool. It's probably from the 40s, but it has like buckles so that you can take the top off. It must have been at that pivotal time where it's like, what should we do?
Wow, yeah. It's a convertible.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that, in the first step in those bare-chested ones, I think they were like, well, we at least have to cover the belly button. Like we're not animals out here. Yeah. And we talked about this when we were talking about like Abercrombie and like low-rise jeans. And there is something more like sexual about a lower rise on guys. There's something very chaste about a high conservative rise.
Yeah, you get to show off the V's. I forget what those are called.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the gutters. But I will say the Orla Bar Brown ones have a tad higher of like a waistline because they are going for that more kind of classic silhouette. I wear higher waisted stuff with everything but shorts. High waisted shorts on guys, I think, are a tricky proposition. I think it's not so good.
Also, shorts are an exception for you because they're kind of the only time you don't tuck your shirt in, right?
Exactly, yeah. There's been a few times I've tucked into the shorts, and it's, I don't know. I think I'm playing with fire with that one.
Yeah, you don't want to look like an American Apparel employee.
Yeah. Well, like when I was a summer camp counselor, I would like tuck my polo into my little short shorts. But that was like, I'm a camp counselor. Like I'm supposed to look a little bit like 70s dorky, you know, looking like Wet Hot American Summer, basically.
Yeah. And then did you want to talk about pants at the beach?
Yeah, I'm a freak who wears pants at the beach sometimes. I just like, with my aforementioned like wearing the swim trunks underneath, or the swim briefs underneath my trunks. Like I'll often swim, dry out, and then like I want to go somewhere. And usually at night, I don't like wearing shorts at night. That's a weird thing of mine. It just feels rude. It always gets like, it's always cool, and very rarely is a summer night so hot that you need like shorts. I don't know.
I've never thought that.
This is a look into my mind that I should not have this podcast sometimes. Just look into my weird pants-based neuroses. But yeah, so yeah, like loose fitting, so you get better like airflow and stuff, like cotton chinos. There's a lot of great like 90s J. Crew stuff of people wearing pants at the beach. I've been trying to find more linen pants, but looking on eBay, a lot of them are, we'll talk about like brands in a second, like Tommy Bahama, and they're often like drawstring type linen pants. And I don't know why the drawstring just kind of irritates me. Like, I don't want drawstrings. But I don't want something super tailored either. I don't know. I guess I just have to like embrace the drawstring.
I mean, the nice thing about pants on the beach is just that you get to cover your skin and then not have to apply sunscreen as much.
Yeah.
So that's a benefit. But yeah, drawstrings, I wear them with like billionaire pants, which are joggers. I use that like kind of antiquated term for them, but
was that like what American Apparel called them? Billionaire pants?
Yeah, that's where like all my terminology is like downstream from.
Yeah, and then so beachwear tops also on like sun coverage. I'm kind of a fan of like, I wear like Oxford cloth button downs all the time. I think they're great at the beach. I think they're like, I'm just always very anti like technical garments in general, like because I'll bike in anything, I'll swim in anything. But an Oxford cloth button down has a neck protector in it. If you fold up the collar, and then you can roll up the sleeves if you want more or less sun coverage, and it breathes very well. I think it's a great thing for the beach.
You're like the men on our Pinterest board. There are several examples of that.
Yeah, it's like, it's comfy and cozy. And then like I was at the beach today, in preparation for this episode. And by the end of it, like I was wearing like a short sleeve, like kind of Hawaiian-esque shirt, and I was like, it got cold at the end. I was like, I wish I had sleeves right now.
Yeah, it gets pretty cold near the beach, especially in Chicago, because there's all the high rises and the lake, and it's kind of the windiest it gets. Like, do you remember that one time last year in June? It was like a really big meetup. 50 of our friends came, and it was just like blisteringly windy.
Yeah, it was just punishing out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, when I was walking back, like once I got more inland, I could feel the like urban heat island effect, which is a bad thing. But I was like, oh, nice. Like, let's go.
Rural listeners are like, what are you talking about?
Urban heat island. Yeah.
Yeah. But when I think of beachwear tops, the first thing that comes to my mind is tank tops. Because I think of the like lifeguard look where you wear a swimsuit and then you have like a really nice white tank top with lifeguard emblazoned across the chest.
I own one of those. I got those from summer camp. We were obsessed with ordering ourselves apparel. Like it wasn't even free. We had to pay into it, but we just wanted cool like summer camp branded apparel. We got tank tops, a windbreaker, and then we had, this was not an item we got, but like sitting in the like lifeguard shed, we had those tear off pants. We had one pair of the tear-off pants that would be shared. And I always kind of wanted to use those in a save, You just kind of tear your pants off like a stripper. You go and save a child's life.
Were they one-time use?
Oh, no, they were not like disposable like that.
Oh, okay.
No, they had like snaps on the side.
So the lifeguard clothing you had, was it like branded for your summer camp or was it just lifeguard?
It was branded for the summer camp.
Okay.
We like doing that. We even we wanted it at some point to get like names on the back of them too. I don't know. The lifeguards were like a cult within a cult at the summer camp.
Yeah. I think it looks best though when it is just sort of generic in the Baywatch way.
Yeah. No, my go-to like swim short color is red, and I think that comes from my still trying to hold on to my youth as a lifeguard.
Yeah. I think going back to that chart, red is actually surprisingly not as great. I think bright orange is better than bright red in the pool.
That. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then Hawaiian shirts?
Yeah, Hawaiian shirts, or aloha shirts as they're called in Hawaii. I'm a big fan of these. We were at a Hawaiian themed party and it completely slipped my mind, and you and I were not dressed on theme. Luckily, I was wearing my kind of like striped fisherman sweater, so everyone was like, "Yeah, that's close enough. That's something."
It sucks because I do have a ton of really nice Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah, from your Sea Punk days, right?
Yeah. I got to wear them when we went to that tiki bar last year.
Oh yeah.
So that was fun.
No, I think they're fun because like they're still a button up, so it feels like you're doing something, but they just exude kind of like relaxation.
Yeah. And I learned from you, actually, they were originally made out of kimono material, right?
Yeah, It's like it's a piece of just like Hawaiian Japanese culture, like spam musubi.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then there was a push in the 60s by the Hawaii Fashion Guild for Aloha Fridays, where as a kind of like casual Friday thing, you would wear an Aloha shirt. And more in a business sense, they actually like tuck it into just like business pants. They look like wool pants. I feel like you should be wearing linen out there. It's a pretty sweaty situation in Hawaii. But this is something I always love, which is when like conventional Western tailoring is mixed with like local things. Like,
yeah, when anything's regional, it's cool.
yeah, like I don't know, bolo ties with other stuff, like, or they're just little stuff, but like working with the kind of lexicon of conventional tailoring and then adding like little cultural elements to it. Very cool.
Yeah. But I would much rather people wear Hawaiian shirts as like a casual thing than sweats and hoodies to their office. And then thinking about beachwear tops, I encountered this TikTok a while back, which was about matching sets in the 70s for beachwear. So men would like get a button down that was the same color as their swim trunks. And, you know, initially I was like, oh, that's interesting. I don't think anyone does this anymore. Like I've never seen anyone wear a matching set to the beach because I feel like the demographic that's the most fashionable, gay men, they just want to look basically naked at the beach. They just want to wear a Speedo.
The least thing possible. Yeah. So it's got like a missing market basically.
Yeah. So I thought like, oh, this is, you know, kind of something that's why would it come back? When would it come back? But actually upon going to Macy's this week, I realized like, wait, this is kind of like the biggest thing that's in right now in a way, because kind of like summer wear at the moment, it all looks like beachwear, and the matching sets are really common. There's like 4 photos I added to I Am Gur. I'm going to link them in the show notes, but like you can't really tell like what bottoms are meant for swimming and which ones aren't, but the tops are always matching, and it's really a dominant style throughout the entire store.
Yeah. It's kind of like when the romp hymns came around, you know, guys rompers. The matching set, there's something fun about it. The seeing the illustrated ads for these from the 70s are funny. A lot of it's Jansen, that like vintage swimwear brand. I don't know if they're around anymore. But yeah, it was very much just like during the peacock revolution of the 70s in men's fashion, where guys could peacock and strut their stuff a little bit more. But yeah, they just look so like, also the collars on them are just like 70s collars too. So it's just kind of a ridiculous,
like very
look.
elongated and pointy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What also comes to mind is the like James Bond terry cloth onesie. That that is quite the look, and you can like buy that online now.
Wait, what's that onesie look like?
Terry cloth is like the towel material.
Oh, I know
he's
the
wearing
material.
He's wearing a baby blue one in Thunderball, I want to say.
Is that on our Pinterest board? Because there's 2 of James Bond I put on there.
This is like 70s Sean Connery.
Oh, okay, maybe not then.
Yeah, but we must add it. It is important for the curriculum.
But yeah, terry cloth, it was common at Macy's too. And that also made me realize that beachwear is sort of the default summer look at the moment, because it evokes the idea of going to the pool, because it feels like basically a towel.
No, I own a terry cloth polo. I haven't actually brought it out of my like storage yet. It's nice. It's like, it is wearing a towel, but then you get kind of sweaty afterwards. It's thick.
Yeah, my favorite hoodie I ever had was actually terry cloth, and I haven't found one since. I've been looking for like a nice white terry cloth one, but that's a very niche market.
Yeah. That's very that sounds like that would be very luxurious. And then another top idea, Italian knit shirts. I feel like these are getting a little overdone right now, I think. I just see them everywhere. I mean, I love The Talented Mr. Ripley. That movie like has amazing Italian knits in it, and they kind of like, I think, revitalize some interest in it. But I don't know, there's real cheap ones out there. Some of them are too meshy, like too see-through.
Yeah. I just feel like I don't own one, so I can't say for sure, but I feel like after 1 or 2 washes, it's just gonna really fray and not look good.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just, some fashion trends, I'm just kind of like, I'm going to sit this one out. I'm going to see if this has staying power.
Yeah. I feel like everyone who is wearing an Italian knit is like, I'm wearing this because it's a trend.
Yeah, it feels like that. Like, I saw a TikTok about this. Like, yeah.
Yeah, like you're just trying to look smacks. But yeah, I do feel like we are at peak Italian knit. It's going to start to disappear soon.
Yeah, I'm sure like they got them at Target and stuff like that. And then once that happens, it's over, man.
Yeah. And then next we can talk about beachwear accessories. So I feel like of all the hats that are out there, the style that's most endemic to the beach, like you should kind of maybe not wear it anywhere else, is like the straw hat or the Panama hat.
I saw a guy wearing a Panama hat and like swim trunks at the beach and like kicking around a soccer ball. He looked pretty dumb. I gotta say, I hate to say it, but like I think it's also the act of doing like a physical thing while wearing a like hat like that. Like you just look like Jason Mraz. That guy.
Yeah. I'm not saying that I like these. I just think they're endemic to beachwear.
No, they are. I've talked about this before, but like I can never get over the hat hump of like being a classic menswear guy, but I can never go hat. I don't think I can.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like men who go bald are a little bit incentivized.
Yeah. They're pushed into the hat. Sandals. I don't know. What do you wear?
I don't really wear flip-flops in public or sandals in public, but I do have a pair of House Havaianas. That's a Brazilian brand. And they're just simple. They're very cheap in Brazil. And then American tourists, they typically buy like 20 and then bring them back as gifts. That's what I did last time.
Yeah. I don't like showing my toes to people. You know, I think that they should be hidden. So I'm often.
I can see yours right now.
Stop. So yeah, I'm usually actually wearing like boat shoes or camp mocks. That's kind of a small distinction. That is annoying when I get to the beach itself. Actually, I usually just like kick them off. I feel like I need to build a sandal. I have like a dream in my mind of like a modified fisherman's sandal that's like, I want something that covers my toes, but still has a lot more open area for like ventilation and all that. So yeah, watch this space. I'm going to be dropping a sandal.
Yeah. I don't want to wear sandals because I walk 5 miles a day. They're just not built for that.
I don't know. I feel like, if Jesus could do it. I don't know. Yeah. There's like those people in Mexico who like run in like tires turned into homemade sandals. I think the sandal, I don't know. I'm kind of, one of my opposing takes is that I do kind of like minimal footwear. I'm never going to wear the toe shoes. I will never like swallow that pill, but I do think that less structured shoes are good for you.
Yeah, for sure. And then dive watches.
Yeah. This is like, I guess when I'm at the beach, the only other thing I'm wearing besides swim trunks is a watch. And dive watches have like they've been very popular for a while because just in the increasing casualification of menswear, all the like luxury watch brands and stuff, they've always had a dive watch. It's just kind of considered the most casual of their offerings. Basically, the more like practical a watch is, the more casual it is. And so like pilots' watches with a lot of big numbers on them and stuff, those are seen as casual things. So I think a lot of guys, like once they make money or something and want to show it off, the first thing they get is a Rolex Submariner, like the Rolex dive watch, as opposed to the Rolex dress watch. Because there's just not as many dressy occasions in life anymore.
It's crazy to call a watch casual, though, because it's just a watch. What makes it casual?
It's just that kind of broad theme across menswear, which is that if something is more utilitarian, it is not for special occasions, and it is like of a lower base nature.
So if it's easier to read, that's what you're saying?
Mm-hmm, that too. Yeah, like my dress watch. Like a dress watch will not have illumination on it. It might not even have a weekday on it. It might just have like, a date number. It'll have less and less things. Like things are more stripped back and minimal the higher in formality you go.
Yeah. So the nicer it is, the less functional it is.
Yeah. Okay. Showing off. But I don't know. Dive watches, it's another kind of thing of like guys love stats. And so people are like, yeah, this is rated for like 100 meters. It's like, fine, like, do you dive? Like, not to be like shit checking people and all that of like, nice dive watch, can you name 3 different scuba divers? Like,
yeah, my parents were actually scuba divers. I know they went spearfishing together.
That sounds fun. I would spearfish. I don't know. My dad had a friend who died in a cave diving accident. So I'm never going to do that, obviously, but that's like the most insane type of scuba diving. I think there's like plenty of scuba diving people who are like turn their nose up at cave diving.
Yeah.
I remember hearing that about rock climbers. I was reading this interview with this rock climber who says that if any of his kids ice climb, they're out of the will.
Wow.
He sees that as just inherently dangerous because like ice can give way at any second. Like, yes, rock can too, but like, I don't know. I didn't know there's that inter-sport.
You're into the wrong kinds of extreme sports.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then I wanted to talk about a sort of sub-style of prep that I refer to as Southern preppy style. This is really prevalent in coastal southern states like North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. And the quintessential outfit is sort of the polo short, pastel shorts, and boat shoes combo. It's where you see like small anchors and nautical symbols thrown in.
Yeah, no, it's definitely got some overlap with the kind of like go to hell style I was talking about. And this shows like Southern prep, like there is, despite their geographic difference, there is a cultural connection between the Northeast and the Southeast, They're both like old and historic places. They're connected by like business, schools, like all these different ways that like culture transmits up and down.
Yeah. It's interesting because the clothing it developed out of the need to exist in like a warmer, more humid climate. But then it's accidentally really great for like going on a boat or like walking in the sand. It's not like something you wear into the water, but it kind of always reads as beachwear in a certain way.
Yeah. I think that the time it's always kind of brought to the fore is in the Kentucky Derby. That's where like people from all across America give their best impersonation of like Southern prep style. So it's big hats for women, and then it's a lot of pastels for men.
Yeah. I think that's maybe something else though, because it's not near the coast. It's related in that pastels are big in both, but I'd say the Kentucky Derby pastels are much more garish and extreme.
Yeah, no, I could see that.
Yeah. But you know where you can see like really good examples of it? It's the like Alex Murdaugh documentaries. Do you know about Alex Murdaugh?
Oh yeah. These guys are crazy. He killed his whole family. What was this? No.
He killed both his wife and then one of his sons. There is a surviving son. But yeah, the documentaries you'll watch, they're from the Snapchat era of social media. A lot of the videos are from that. So think about like, when was Snapchat big? I'd say like 2016 to 2019.
Yeah.
So that's when this was like very prevalent. But the youngest son, Paul Murdaugh, he's the best example of it. Like he wears like the longer pastel shorts that are like at the knee or maybe even below. It's something I also see in this like meme I'll link. It's the "you can't arrest me, my dad is a lawyer" meme.
Yeah.
Which is funny because Paul's father actually was a lawyer.
Yeah. No, like a whole like generations and generations of lawyers that had just kind of like set up shop in this one district. God, what a fascinating story. Like, 'cause even without the murder, they would be an interesting story of just like these predatory lawyers, thanks to this, like what they call like district forum shopping, which is where you like choose what district you want to have your case in. And this is always the most favorable one.
Yeah. Because families in that part of the South, and I guess a lot of the South in general, they are like very traditional in that they can actually be patriarchal. It's kind of exotic and foreign to me. Like when I think about like the people that are most different than me, it's not like, you know, immigrants. I grew up with tons of them in Chicago. Like these like Southern elites in like the low country of South Carolina, that is different to me. I've never encountered people like that.
No, that's totally true. Yeah, that's like a culturally like so far away. I remember I went to a very like waspy wedding in Michigan, and I was like, this is different, but I kind of understand this. Like I can hang with these people. But like, yeah, I think we forget about it now, of like the Southern cultural divide. I listened to this whole documentary about Dolly Parton, and that talks about like how serious that divide was, and stuff like discrimination against people with Southern accents, and just all these things I had never really thought about. And in my family, which is a whole bunch of like, you know, Northern Midwest Yankees, someone in our family married like a classic Southern belle, and he was basically excommunicated because my family like thought that his family probably owned slaves, and we were very like against that back in the day. So like people forget about these cultural divides. Like things have been more smoothed over, but still.
Yeah, there is still some regionalism. And you know, actually the most recent season of the White Lotus, they had a family from South Carolina where all of them kind of fit that aesthetic, the Southern preppy aesthetic to some degree, but the youngest son, or the oldest son, Saxon, really fit it. But first, have you seen The White Lotus?
No, I have not. This is like, I don't really watch shows, but this is the one I want to watch.
Yeah, this is like the least cringe show I watch, so I'm going to advocate for you to see it one day.
Yeah, I should, yeah. I just can't believe the guy behind it is Ned Schneebling from School of Rock. He's just...
Mike White?
Yeah. Like, have you seen School of Rock?
Oh, okay. Wait, School of Rock. For some reason, I just thought of like Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide.
Oh, yeah. I could think of that. That's another school Ned kind of thing. But no, like School of Rock was this like, was written and like the brainchild of Mike White. And then he casts himself in this like kind of small but key role in it. It's basically Jack Black is impersonating Mike White's character to pretend to be a teacher, and then he teaches kids.
Oh, is he the one who is like the wife or the husband or boyfriend of Sarah Silverman in the movie?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's clicking.
Yeah.
No, I'm not really good with celebrities, so I don't know Mike White super well, but I know that this is his baby. It's his project, and I've loved every season The White Lotus. The first 3, they've all been set on resorts that are a bit tropical, so there's been a ton of beachwear.
Yeah. You're saying they've never done like a winter one? That seems so obvious. When I was at like Beaver Creek, I was like, oh yeah, I know very little about White Lotus, but I could see them doing a thing here, you know, talking about the strange class distinctions and all that.
Yeah. So each season it's set at a different resort of the White Lotus. And so far they've been in Hawaii, Italy, and then Thailand. And the next season, according to like recent news reports, it's going to be somewhere in Europe. They haven't pinned it down yet. but all three so far have been like near beaches. And fans would love to see like a ski resort season. It would be really great for winter wear. But he apparently like hates the snow. It's not very likely to happen because the last season took 7 months to film. He wouldn't want to be in the cold for that long.
Interesting. Yeah, I got it. That's so interesting that he has that like particularity.
But you would really love the White Lotus because I actually learned this from some podcast episodes that were done with Alex Boivard, who's the costume designer for the series. According to her, the White Lotus is almost kind of set in an alternate reality where people still dress up to go to the airport, to go to the beach, to go to dinner. And so the outfits are always like elevated in this way that's kind of not realistic for the present day, but it's great for TV.
That's so nice. I like that. That's one of the things. The other only show I've watched is like Severance, which like takes place in a clearly like sci-fi alternate world, but they take that advantage to like they make all the cars old and also like everyone's in full like business and like suit and tie kind of stuff. They're taking like they're sampling from like 70s, 90s, like just whatever is the most interesting look for it. Like take 90s cubicle, add 70s business wear and 80s cars, like and just kind of stitching it together.
Yeah. She does sample like vintage pieces quite a bit, but each character, their wardrobe is reflective of their personality. There's also like Easter eggs and teasers as to what will happen with the plot that are thrown in. But the most recent season, it had the Ratliff family. There were 5 of them. They're from South Carolina. The dad went to Duke. The oldest son went to Duke. They were sort of portraying this like Southern preppy, like intergenerational wealth that's you see with the Murdaghs as well. But with the series, the first episode's always like really fun because there's the arrival scene where all the families who are in the season arrive on a boat and then you see them for the first time. And apparently a lot of thought goes into each outfit. That's like the most important for the entire season. Wow. But for the oldest son, Saxon, he wore boat shoes, like the pastel shorts that are a bit too long to be cool, an Oxford, like sort of douchey sunglasses. And he was trying to portray that like frat aesthetic that's disappearing.
Oh, interesting. No, I really should watch this show. Like, of course, every like costume designer does try and say something about the characters through the choices, but it seems like they're coming with it with this like level of intensity. Yeah,
it's really great.
I found one photo of where someone's wearing a terry cloth matching set in the show, and I think that's very good.
Yeah, that was the assistant to what was her name? Anyway, he's like a British bloke in the show. Yeah.
It is quite
he ends up being a bit of a villain at the end, but
I could tell you that. Yeah, he's got his eyes. He's got the eyes of a villain.
Yeah. And then in preparation for this week's episode, I started to watch The Beach from 2000, which really is not an exemplary movie for beachwear.
I am not familiar with The Beach 2000.
It's like a Leonardo DiCaprio film from early in his career, but it just beckoned to me because it has low ratings and I love lowbrow films. It has like a 20% on Rotten Tomatoes, but it's kind of more of a stoner movie. It has a really nice beach, but I didn't really glean anything from it otherwise.
Wow. This is so 2000. He's got like the puka shell, not quite a puka shell-esque necklace, and just the hair gel type situation in this and the board shorts. Yeah. It just reminds me of like Survivor as well in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Which I was going to say, the idea of having an arrival scene in White Lotus, it's interesting how reality TV, this like scorned and like lower form of art, I think it's like its framing is like now is affecting what's it called, scripted shows. An arrival scene, not that other scripted things don't have arrival scenes, but I don't know. Mike White was on Survivor.
Yes, he was. And he's actually like going to be on the next season, apparently.
Yeah. Someone was filling me in on that. That's crazy. And he was apparently, when he was on it, it was jocks versus nerds. That was the theme.
Really?
They would have I'm like I do not watch Survivor.
Gays versus straights.
I think they did. They had a race episode. So yeah, I wouldn't put that past them. Mid-2000s reality TV was the time to be alive. Oh my God.
But that's cool.
Yeah.
But do you have a TV show you'd like to talk about for beachwear?
Yeah, I think it's fun to talk about. I was just watching Seinfeld recently, and there's this thing with George's dad where he has a whole suitcase full of resort wear, and something happens to it. There's some like dryer mix up, I forget. But I think that's just a very like cute thing for like very like retired 70s and 80s old Jewish person type looks.
Yeah. No, I think there is sort of a subaesthetic of beachwear, which is the like vacation wear in a sense. Resort wear sounds a bit too elevated.
Yeah.
This is more for like cheap cruises, going to cheap casinos, and maybe you might be in proximity to the water, but you're not going in.
Yeah, it's people like, I think this stereotype is like slipping away from our cultural memory, but the Hawaiian shirt, cargo shorts, white crew socks, hiking boots or sandals, like tourist.
Yeah.
You know, straw hat, dorky flip up sunglasses.
I also think like sun visors and then fanny packs really fit in.
Yeah. The practicality of it. And I think that like the reason we laugh at that character is because it's like, oh, this is such a big deal for them. Like this vacation is so rare or so whatever that they've like prepared and they're treating it like an expedition of a sort, that they need to be very technical with it.
Yeah. It is like Cancun energy. Yeah. But, you know, there's actually a brand that sort of taps into that sub-aesthetic. It's called Duven. Did you get a chance to look at it?
Yeah, their stuff is fun. It's very cheeky. I think it's good. I think we're in the midst of a whole kind of like 70s vacation or 80s vacation revival, because there's that sunscreen brand just called Vacation. And it's just expensive and 80s themed.
I checked them out too, and it's definitely the same. It's happening the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Duven, they have this really great hat called Retired. I almost got it for you for your birthday. I wasn't quite sure if you would like it, but I took you to a gala instead. So that was better.
Great gift. No, they have fun stuff. They're kind of like, just cheeky vacation wear. Like, I don't know why I'm still thinking about that White Lotus thing you said of just like, man, a time when people would actually dress up for vacation. Like,
yeah, they would dress up for that, but it would be a lot more commercial in a sense. Like it would have like logos of the place you were going and things.
That's more real tourist core. Yeah, like cheesy tourist core.
You can definitely find that subset though of like vacation wear, resort wear in thrift stores really easily.
Oh yeah. It's like finding like 90s ski jackets or like, you know, art school teacher stuff. Like, you just gotta wait for them to die and then just they all show up.
Yeah.
Another fun source of like inspiration is Magnum PI in terms of 80s vacation lifestyle. I actually didn't know much about this show. I kind of like a show that is just nakedly like wish fulfillment, because the framing of this show is that like he's a private eye who lives on a millionaire's compound and drives a Ferrari everywhere and rides a helicopter. It's like they took a cop show and they took away all the like boring stuff and they just added cool stuff into it.
Yeah. That was apparently like Cartoon Network strategy for a period, was all their shows were like, what if this little boy's wish comes true? Like that's sort of Ben 10 in a way. Like, what if I was an alien? But yeah, that sounds like maybe Magnum PI was that, but for adult
middle-aged men. Yeah. That's why like as cringe as I find like Jack Reacher's show, I do kind of respect it. Like it's just brazenly like, what if you were the tallest, hottest guy and you were always right and you always got the girl and punished the like wicked? I think that people should have that kind of like didactic, like very basic morality play type stuff. I think it's good for the culture.
It's refreshing now because every character in TV or in film
is an anti-hero.
Yeah.
Boo. Away with anti-heroes. We want like just like wandering knight errants, you know?
Yeah. It's refreshing to see. Yeah, I added like 1 or 2 pictures of Magnum PI to the Pinterest board. And he's a good example too of how like looking really comfortable in everything you're wearing at the beach is really attractive. It's not just like being shirtless and showing as much skin as possible. Yeah,
but I mean, let's be fair. He's showing a lot of skin. These are some of the shortest shorts on like national television until Lieutenant Jim Dangle in Reno 911, I think. But he's got like great... he wears like a Detroit baseball cap. That's a common thing. A lot of like contrast collar polos, Hawaiian shirts everywhere. Yeah. Strong look.
And then I think it would be kind of fun to like round out with an expose on being shirtless. I don't know why I really want to talk about this, but I think it's interesting to discuss like what other places and occasions it's appropriate for men to be shirtless, because the pool and the beach are the best place to do it. If you are a politician, the only photos of you being shirtless online that should exist should be at those places.
Yeah, no. It feels kind of wrong. There's like, I don't know, photos of Obama shirtless. I'm like, no, put those away. That's illegal.
It also feels wrong when there's even like pictures of politicians working out.
Yeah, no, they shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
They should all have the Mormon underwear. They should all like never be shirtless.
And then for dating apps too, I don't know if you're aware of this rule, but for a lot of them, men can have shirtless pictures only if they're at a pool or a beach. If it's a mirror selfie, they often get taken down.
Interesting. I've never tested that water. So yeah, I've never done the shirtless selfie. I think it's craven and crass for
You've never
straight
even
men.
taken one?
What? No, I'm sure I've had one. So I've been to a beach. Oh, but in the
Yeah.
mirror selfie, no. I think it's what we were talking about. It's a little preening, you know.
Yeah, it's not sexy for guys to do it.
Yeah.
I kind of disagree. I think a mirror selfie is fine. I just think it's interesting, though, that there is this link between shirtlessness and antisocial behavior, because it's very Lindy for a business to put up a sign like "No shirt, no shoes, no
no
service."
service. Yeah. Oh man, I'm just trying to think of like when I've actually encountered like a shirtless person in a place of business, which I'm sure it's just in a 7-Eleven in Las Vegas.
Yeah. One time I had this like kind of emotional or intimate moment with this homeless guy who was like passed out shirtless, and I had like 10 t-shirts to give out. It was part of this library thing. I kind of wasn't supposed to just give it to someone because they were shirtless at the library, but obviously he needed it more than anyone else I was going to give it to. So I offered one to him. But yeah, sometimes at the library there might be people who are shirtless, but that's largely it. It's more so just like walking outside. It's like when you see like someone shirtless in public, it's kind of like blasting music, or it just signals like a level of like, I don't want to follow the
Antisocial,
laws of society, and like I'm willing to, you know, go further than you might think.
I remember on one really hot day, I wanted to bike to the lake, and I was just like, oh, I'll just put on a lot of sunscreen. I'll just bike shirtless. And it just felt, I was getting looks from people. Like it just felt incorrect. Like it felt like, yeah, I'm in the wrong here. But then by the time I got to the lakefront path, I'm like, this feels a little bit better. Yeah, this feels right.
Yeah. It does feel really nice. Like one time I remember I, in 2016, went on one of very few family trips I've gone on. We don't do that very much, but we were staying at this hotel and we went to the pool together, and I was just like outside shirtless and the wind was blowing. I was like, wow, this is nice.
I swear you said to me that you dislike the feeling of fresh air on your neck. I swear you said
I don't
that.
like sitting and just being in like air. Basically, I like sorry. I like walking and being outside. That's great. But if I'm just sitting down and mosquitoes start biting me and the sun is like hitting my skin, I don't get why people like doing that.
Oh man, no, I love cooking out there a little bit.
Yeah. The only place I'm ever really shirtless in public is the pool or the beach, except for the CrossFit gym.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because CrossFit gyms, for whatever reason, it's totally socially acceptable for guys to take their shirt off and work out. I have a few theories as to why. I think part of it is just because a lot of the people who go to CrossFit gyms are former athletes. There's less of a taboo or like less shame around being shirtless because everyone's ripped.
Yeah.
But I don't do that when there are like women in the gym. It's really only if like there's only me and two other people there.
Yeah.
And then I'm willing to do it.
Yeah, because that's a big no-no in commercial gyms, you know, any kind of like standard, you know, Planet Fitness, LA Fitness, that kind of thing. Enthusiast gyms can go one of either way. Like if it's a powerlifting gym, they're not going to like that. But in a bodybuilding gym, they'll have a whole room for like posing with mirrors and lights and all that stuff. Have
you ever been to a powerlifting gym?
Yeah, I used to go to Lance's gym in the basement of the Bridgeport Arts Center, and that was like a serious powerlifting gym. It was very good for me. It was a lot of good pointers from people and stuff. I did feel like a little beanpole there, but no, it was a good environment.
So guys would like be posing there?
No, not in that one, not in a powerlifting one. But if I went to, when I lived in Lakeview East, I thought about joining Quad's gym, and that is a like bodybuilding gym. And yeah, I think people would be doing shirtless stuff in there.
Yeah. No, it was interesting to think about beachwear so much this week and to learn about how much of a big deal it was for men to start wearing like bare-chested swimsuits.
Yeah.
Because there is still just like we do live in a world where like, you know, celebrities can be shirtless, men can be shirtless. It's not blurred out. It's okay. But also there is just still so much thought about where and when to do it tastefully. Like for me as like a gay guy, I could be shirtless and post like pictures every day in order to get more followers and likes and attention. But it's always been so like tasteful and shameful to me. I only have really ever done that once, and I regretted it. I got a lot of compliments, but it just felt so wrong.
I was like, when I saw you just posted like a shirtless selfie on Instagram, I'm like, is Nathan doing okay? I was like, is he going through it? Is he? I don't know.
No, it was because I had a breakup, and
Exactly.
after a 3.5 year long relationship, I was like,
Yeah, you're allowed to
I wonder
do
who's
that.
into me. I wanted to see who I personally knew. And I did get some answers.
Real. You're in some ways you're a lot freer than I am, I think, Nathan, I gotta say.
Yeah. No, I mean, there definitely is like a different standard for gay guys. It's kind of weird that I don't do that.
Yeah.
But I just feel like it's not attractive to sexualize yourself. Like, yes, you might get people's attention, but it's so much more sexier to just wear more clothing and make people guess.
I've often wondered if, like, I think it's because it's so apparent that, like, I'm a guy who's into clothes, and I wonder if that makes me less attractive to women. I think women do not want a guy who's that into it, you know? I think I try and pull off an effortless kind of look. Doesn't always work. I think it looks too effortful, you know?
No, I think it's great. I think that you actually should be taking more pictures of your style and putting more pictures of them on Instagram and dating profiles and XYZ. You don't think so?
I don't know. Again, it's the preening thing. Like, a man can't be taking too many photos of himself.
Yeah.
You know?
No, there is that like meme or tweet about how you want a guy who just has pictures of himself holding fish.
Yeah. It's like we all made fun of that guy, but we all secretly crave his, like, you know.
Yeah.
You
don't want the looks max guy who's taking selfies from the best angles.
Yeah, no. Who's like, you don't want a guy who knows his angles. You want a guy who's got bad photos of him taken by friends. Yeah. Or the classic like thing where a whole bunch of like straight guys hang out who haven't seen each other in forever and no one takes a photo the entire time. It's like your old high school friends got together and people flew hundreds of miles and all that. And nope, no photos, nothing. We never thought of it.
Yeah. I did see this like look maxed family I went to Happy Lamb again this week recently. But no, I saw this like very attractive mom, dad, daughter, son. But the son was the best dressed and the most beautiful of the four. And I was like, wow, this is weird.
That's so messed up. Oh, it's so funny because like I just bemoan on this podcast, like people don't dress up anymore, people don't try, and you see someone who's trying and you're like, whoa, cool it. Can't we all just be right in the middle?
Yeah. No, I was talking to someone this week actually where I was explaining to him how I identify as a zillennial, and he was like, oh, like what traits do you have? And I was like, it's actually easier for me to like sort of explain how I'm not like either group. And for Gen Z, it was like, I'm not into looks maxing. I want to be naturally beautiful. And I don't like beauty that is like attained through effort. I think it's better to be more relaxed in how you look.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. We really strayed far from beachwear, but
I think it's good.
That was a good expose on shirtlessness.
Yes, exactly. All right. Thanks for listening, you guys.
Thanks for listening. Hope you like our Pinterest board.
Oh, yeah.
Bye.